Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Lovely to see you all this morning. Really great to have you with us. We have our special guest with us, who I will intro in just a moment, letting a few more people in the room. If we can keep ourselves on mute throughout, we've got the chat box as well. Just letting a few more people in. Lovely. Some new names, some familiar names. Fabulous. Super. Right, okay. I would love to welcome Carolyn Sweeney to the floor this morning, and we're going to be going through setting up your new stylist for success. Carolyn, over to you.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everybody, on this Monday morning. Okay, so my name's Caroline Sweeney. I've seen many names that I recognise, but names I don't. So just a very quick who I am. So I am a hairdresser. I've been hairdressing for the last 40 years, and I'm still on the shop floor, maybe only one day a week, but I'm there every Thursday. And then I became a manager 34 years ago. And what I learned from being a hairdresser, it's all about me, and what I need to achieve. Then when I became a manager, I realised that actually I still had to focus on me, but I had to look at how I got other people to achieve their goals and their achievements. Then 27 years ago, I became a salon owner. And again, the reflection changed again. I still had to be a stylist, still had to manage my team, but then I had to understand all the marketing, the finances, understanding P&L and making sure that the business and everybody else was successful in it. And then, in fact, 22 years ago, I first started becoming a business coach working with 365, and have since 7 years ago set up my own company called King Connect. And so I've got 22 years of coaching as well. And actually how I teach is exactly from the heart and from my own business. So what goes on in our business, I do have a successful business, but we do have the struggles and challenges as everybody else does. So I teach what we do on a day-to-day basis. And today is a fantastic example of that. It's going to be fast and furious today. So we only have an hour. And if I can get done before then, I will. But there's a lot of information. So I'm going to be talking quite quickly. The good news is it's recorded. So if you want to go back and watch bits of it or take some screenshots, please carry on. Everyone's muted because that very reason. It's all about just feeding you with loads of information today. However, M's in the chat box. So if you want to ask any questions, or at the end, if you've got any questions, we're always happy to stay on just to or contact us afterwards. So let's get going. So I've got what we call the 6 steps of a growth strategy. And that strategy starts with agreement. So it's looking at how we have that upfront agreement with our team. And then it's about that client infinite journey, because ultimately that's what we do. You know, we make an assumption that your guys are already good at doing the hair or the beauty, whatever we do, but we've got to think about that journey. And the expectation of that journey today is higher than it's ever been. And then it's about the goals and the targets. So I think most salons are really good at setting goals and targets, but are we really good at that accountability, following up on how people are achieving what they need to achieve? Then we've got number 4, which is our skills growth and the continuous learning, because our industry is forever changing. And so it's keeping up with new trends, changing, and keeping ourselves as creative people excited about what we do. Then, of course, 5 is marketing, which, of course, is where Salon IQ come in, because their marketing element of their system is amazing. And then, of course, we've got motivation, and we all need motivation. I am a business coach, and that's what we're here today, looking at how we get that inspiration from other people. So today I've focused on a stylist right at the beginning of their journey, but that doesn't mean to say it can't be a stylist that's returning after leave, or somebody that's perhaps got a little bit stuck where they are, or they're just perhaps underperforming. And today's presentation has been written on 2 stylists. So 2 stylists that qualified about 6 months ago, and we looked at how can we get them from where they are to CPP, to their commission pivot point, or the break even, whatever you call it. How can we get there very quickly? So it's their journey that I'm sharing with you this morning. So most important first, I often come across this all the time when people have challenges with their stylist, is that the stylists don't always know what is expected of me. What do you want me to do? What is my job role and what's expected? And when we've got challenges in our business, it's a really good place to go back to or revisit. And if you haven't got job agreements in place, I suggest that it's a really good time to think about how do we agree on where we are. And that's what creates maximum clarity, and that's what focus is about. So we want to really be clear about what we want our teams to achieve. So clear job agreements define expectation. It reduces any of that misunderstanding and improves the stability of the team. So what is a job agreement or job description? It doesn't matter really what you call it, but we call it agreement because we think it's an evolving, changing piece of work. So what are you looking for somebody in your salon? So what is it that you want somebody to achieve? What are their goals? What are their minimum performances? What is expected for them to do on a day-to-day basis? But it's also about what they're looking for, because I also feel a job agreement is something, we want to do together. And I think that's really important that we write a job agreement together, because I have an agenda, I have what I want somebody to achieve, but what if their agenda is different to mine? I've told them what I want them to do, but their expectations of the job role is different. So I think it's really important that a job role is, I know what I want, and let's make sure that we've got that in line and we are together. And I think when people write it or help be part of their job agreement, they take better ownership of it. And of course, any agreement is evolving. And it never stays the same, because if somebody's joining your business at the beginning, it's going to have certain elements of learning and what they need to do. And then 6 months later, it might change. And 6 months later, it might change. And 2 years later, for sure, the job role won't be the same as when they joined your company 2 years ago. It's about reviewing regularly and change as things change. And it's really great to reward when people are achieving what they need to achieve. Or on the other circumstance, if somebody is an underachiever, not getting where they need to, you kind of go back to the drawing board. Let's go back to this agreement. What's working, what's not? Is it that we've set the expectations too high, or is it that they need some more education? What is that reason we need to go back? So let's just take an example of a job agreement. So this agreement outlines your terms and conditions of employment, and it sits alongside a job contract. So your contract is your legal agreement, and this might have some legal element to it. However, I'd have your contract separate and then your agreement that revolves next to it. We believe in being clear and upfront about all requirements of this position, allowing you to make informed choices about joining our team. So we even work with the job agreement before somebody joins. And obviously, if you've got somebody already, you just take that line out. And it's important that we understand and agree the following. What the process is, what you're applying for, and what you're doing. And it might have a bit of hours and responsibilities in there. But the really important thing is the purpose of the role. So it might be that you have some standards in your salon, but do you have it written down? So all customers to receive the customer experience following our training guideline. I'm going to show you an example of our training guideline shortly. All clients to receive a full consultation, including how they do their hair at home, if they have any specific hair requirements, and including aftercare advice. Maintaining a minimum performance standard, working towards the salon targets and goals. So this simply describes what is expected. So if I come across somebody not doing a full consultation, or I come across somebody not doing aftercare advice, we can perhaps go back to the agreement and say, look, this is something that we agreed and that you're going to work on. And then what are your duties? What's your everyday role? Well, to fulfill the above agreement, prepare your customers in advance and updating all your records, maintaining yourself in a healthy place and clean environment. And then looking at all tests, making sure that the hair's strong enough to take or any sensitivity tests, and complete any aftercare fact sheets. So any aftercare follow-up that the customers might need because they need to look after their hair extensions or their colour in a certain way. We like before and after photos. We like maintaining your salon Instagram account. We want people to keep that up to date and are, actively being part of marketing and promotion and building their own client base. And making good use of their downtime. We're going to talk about downtime today, and living up to the brand, the guidelines of the salon. So very simply, 15, 20, I don't think a job agreement should be pages and pages and pages. I think it should be just on, 2 or 3 A4 size pages, and just a list of the expectations that you both agree. And if somebody agrees to work like this, that's the standards. But if they don't, maybe they're not they're not the person for you or for your salon. And then we have essential qualifications, and then we talk about the training and developing needs and what it is. So in our salon, we like to make sure we've got a salon goal, one thing that absolutely everybody in the team's working towards, and then an individual goal that everybody else has. And that's about improvement. We always want to grow and be looking at what we're doing next, what's new, what's exciting, what keeps us excited in the role that we're in. And then, of course, performance standards. What's the minimum that's expected and what's my target? Where am I trying to get to? So my service total, my client numbers, my retention, my new clients and rebooking. And they can be around whatever your KPIs are that are set up in your salon. And of course, using the stars and flags with Salon IQ is a brilliant way, and have them in the agreement in advance. So agreements, I think, is a really important role, but also it's what's expected. And these are our guidelines in our salon, and we work through our infinite client journey, and we have 6 steps. And so we go through those steps, and we just put the key points that are in there. So let's start with Attract Me. So creating social media content, before and afters, day in the life of you as a stylist, product information and style advice. So we would set a minimum performance that might say we expect you to do 2 or 3 posts. And of course, we all know we've got the teams that love it and we've got the teams that hate it. But we set a minimum performance that everybody has to do 2 or 3 posts. Now, that might not be your stylists that are fully booked all the time, but they probably already do it anyway. And then we've got Welcome and Know Me. We like all of our team to come in and plan their day, check their records in advance, check their hair plans, the goals, the challenges that the customer had when they were last in. And then, of course, power booking, looking at any opportunities in the day that we could improve and grow our day. And what products we used last time, so that we know to talk about the same products or recommend something different. It's not about what they bought, it's about what we use. And that's all about knowing our customers in advance. Listen to Me. So we have a 3-point consultation. It's about the hair, it's about the customer, and it's about retention. What does it look like in the future? Relax Me, of course, what we call the best bit. And it has to be an exceptional cleanse. We have to cleanse people's hair beautifully. We know that this is 80% the best bit that people look forward to coming to the salon. So we do a shiatsu massage, and we make sure this is where our hair care advice continues. It starts in consultation and then continues through to the cleansing area. Show me, give me that advice. Advise me on my life cycle, the haircut, how long it's going to last, what style advice, and what I need to use at home. And then, of course, follow up with an email. What do we talk about? What could I help? What's recommended next? When should you next book if we haven't done it already? So it's very clear. This is in the job agreement. It's very, very clear what is expected. This is the minimum performance. Anyone can go above it. And these are the things that are expected. And especially if you've got a young, new stylist, don't need to be young, a new stylist or somebody underperforming, go back to what do we need to do and what's expected of me. So job agreements, number 1, really important. So now let's look at some goal setting, so particularly financial goals. So let's assume we're working with our stylists that have got no customers at the moment. So first, what's the goal? What do we want them to achieve? Well, in this instance, we've gone, I want the stylist to achieve 1,500 per week. That happens to be their CPP, their commission pivot point, the point they move from a guaranteed wage into commission. And at this stage, they started at a £45 cut and finish. They've just newly qualified. We need to get them off that price very, very quickly, but it's our entry level, but we need to get them to 50 to 60. 60 is where we need to get our stylists today to be able to even hit commission. So this is just an entry level. So then be a little bit more specific about that goal. So service total, I need to give you a target on your service title, target on your client numbers, and a target on your color percentage. So this is for this particular stylist. It'd be unique to everybody. So what we know is, where is this person right now? So in this example, they haven't got any customers. I had 2 stylists coming straight on the floor with no customers. And what we knew was that we had to get them in absolutely by 1 year. In 52 weeks, they had to get to their break-even point, if not before. So what's the target? What's the first target? Let's say in the first 12 weeks, I need you to be hitting £375, 7 clients and 10% colour. It's a really easy target, and they probably will hit that one very, very quickly. In fact, they'll hit it before the 12 weeks, but you want to make that first target really achievable, because then you can always change the targets. But what's more importantly is then at 24 weeks, I want you to be on 750 a week, 14 clients per week, 15% colour. And we'd probably look at their retention levels and look at getting a price increase at this stage. So 6 months in, first price increase, take them, they built some confidence, and we'll look at how we build confidence in a minute. And then we want to get to that target by 36. By 9 months, we want to get to that target of 1,125. Now, this is often where stylists get stuck. They get stuck at this kind of number and they find it quite hard to go up, often because salon owners hold prices back. They think, oh, they're not quite ready. We need to push them through quite quickly. So if somebody does get stuck here, you need to do some really, really in-depth coaching. And so let's keep an eye on those financial goals. How do we do that? We meet with them probably at the early stages every week, and then as somebody starts to get motivated, starts to achieve, we'd start to look at working with them every 4 weeks or every month. And so here's a sheet where we set the target, we talk about the results, we talk about what's actions needed, and we talk about notes. So we're really looking at that accountability. So it's all very well setting a goal, setting a target, but how often do you look at it? And so these are the goal sheets that we use with our stylists. Set the financial goals or set the targets that are expected of them, set their KPIs. We start with 3 and eventually end up with 6 KPIs. And then we work every month looking at them and looking at what's working, what's not, and what areas do we need to coach and train. So what do people do with their downtime? And that's what's important when we've first got somebody on the shop floor. They're not going to walk into a fully booked clientele straight away. So what do they do when they're not with a customer? What's that plan? Do they have a structure that says when you're not with a customer, you should be? So we do look after yourself. Look after yourself in that downtime. And what could you do for your future? So the first thing we do is we talk about looking after the client's profile. So making sure that when they've finished a customer, they sit down and they write in-depth notes about what colours they've used, what style they use, what products they've used, what they've recommended next time, do their aftercare emails. And so that they've got that time, and it starts to create a habit very early on that that's normal to write notes on every single customer. Because when you start profiling, it's just fantastic when you go back and visit them for the next time and all those notes are there. The second thing is look after your inspiration. So what is your goal on education? And so have we set perhaps YouTube videos for them to watch, product knowledge so that it helps our retailing? Perhaps they're looking at a new area. Perhaps they're looking at hair extensions or becoming a short hair specialist or a textured specialist. So have they got a goal for their education? So if they get downtime, what could they do to learn more? Are they looking after their future? So what's their marketing? What's their brand? What's their Instagram look like? In 45 minutes, you could do some great reels. In 45 minutes, you could educate yourself well. 45 minutes, you could create great profiling with your customers. So if you just get one appointment, what's your downtime plan? And of course, look after your area, make sure everything's clean, your brushes, your trolleys, your area, so that when your next customer comes in, it looks lovely. And then we talked about shampooing earlier, cleansing, making it a beautiful experience, and look after your own shampooing. It builds better relationships. So whenever you can, you do it for yourself. Obviously, if you're super busy, that's different, but always do it when you can. So there's our downturn plan. So if there's somebody's got 45 minutes, what have they done in that time? So then let's talk about that continuous skills improvement. And as I say, this is also added to their job agreement. So it comes, right in line with what do we do with our downtime? And so online training, I think, is essential, particularly with products. And we're not talking about retail today, but when we talk about retail, one of the key things is just being really knowledgeable. And when you're really knowledgeable about your products, you talk about them naturally. And when you talk about them naturally, retail just happens naturally. So understanding, so if you have a product of the month, product for the week, or even if you choose 5 products you want a new stylist to really focus their conversations around, just make sure they know, plenty about those 5 products. We use a lot of YouTube for particular styles of cutting, and of course Instagram. So we would put a training plan of things online, so small amounts of time, what can you do, and online. We also have what we call salon mentors. So they'd have a stylist that they will watch for specific areas. If it's a learning that they need, it's colour they need to learn more, or it's finishing they need, we'll set them with mentors so they can spend that time perhaps watching someone in the salon. We, of course, have internal and external courses that they might be focusing on. And of course, let's not forget practice. I've got a few people in our team at the moment learning hair extensions, and the key to be fast is to practice, 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 practice. So they can have a block that just is ongoing, that they're just putting extensions in every time they've got some downtime. So it just creates speed and it just gets them more commercially ready from when they're first training. And so it's looking at your skills, or it's looking at improving the skills that you've got, or if it's a new skill that you're looking to add to your book of things that you deliver. And we want to keep it exciting, so we've got that continuous learning, so we're working towards new things to keep our creativity going. So now let's look at marketing and PR. There's just so much to it. It's such a big, massive area. But with these two stylists that we had, we literally had no customers for them at all. And so it was like, how can you go from having absolute nothing to having a full column? And how do you do that really quick? Because today, with employment costs being so expensive, we can't wait like we used to. It used to be, oh, it's okay, it takes 2 years to build a column. We don't have 2 years anymore. So it's what can we do and what can we do together? So what we did was we literally got a blank piece of paper and just wrote every single idea we could have. Let's do some blue sky thinking. Let's think about everything we could do. If we were trying to find a new customer, what would we do? And this is what they came up with. And it was their list, their ideas, their action. So the first one they came up with, could we offer 50% cut and finishes? And could we market using the Salon IQ marketing? Really great. It really hones into specific customers that you're looking for, so you're not touching any of your active database. So could they offer 50% off? They were already offering a good price, and we'll talk about offers in a moment, but that was their first idea. They said, can we put some packages together so it's a color price package? We just want to focus on clients. What do clients want? So could we run a survey and find out what new clients are looking for? They want to do some charity work, so work in the community to get their names out there. Making sure that they really work on their aftercare notes so that future visits, they had better relationships. So obviously the name of the game is to get the customer coming back and build those longevity. They looked at recommend a friend. How could they use their customers that have got existing, the new customers? How could they get them to bring in their friends? And of course, Salon IQ have got Gas, which is a text recommend a friend, which if you've got somebody with no clients can work very quickly and work really fast. It can build them very, very quickly. Leaflet drops, where could they go to? Local gyms, local groups, mum groups, schools. So they had some nice leaflets designed that they could introduce themselves as new stylists. They wrote some articles, they did blogs, and the blogs went on the website, went on the socials, went on Facebook, went on all of our mediums, and it was introducing them, talking about who they were, what they loved. They ran some competitions so people could win a haircut with them. They did their bios, and they changed their bios quite regularly on the website, because they realized that and if you ever do your insights on your website, you'll know that one of the most looked at pages is Meet the Team. And so it's really important what the bio looks like and what it says about them. So they were updating their bios afterwards, aftercare emails, so that they're building better relationships with the people that were coming in. New client packs with a complimentary blow dry. So when they met the customer for the first time, they invited them back in 2 weeks so they could build that relationship. Follow all local Facebook groups, networking events, aftercare emails. They did a live window where they were cutting hair, and they did it in their downtime, so people would walk past and they would get noticed. And then we did a V2 voucher shop through our radio station. I'll talk you through that in a moment. Charity link ups, they gave away blow dries. They cracked on and got their social media looking really good, their Instagram. Before and after photos of every customer that they did, went to every local event, what was going on, and they did a mindset behind the chair podcast, which they shared on our Insta, and they talked to each other about, what they did and what they loved about their job, and they paired up with local businesses. So this is kind of like the blue sky thinking. So when you look at all of those areas, just in half an hour, a cup of coffee, sat down, scribbled them all down, and then we put a plan together of how we could use all of these areas to grow their columns. And it was, some of them were more successful than others, but what was great is they did grow and grow very, very quickly. So this was their profiles that they put together. So this is Lucy, and she wrote it from her heart. So when somebody reads it, they'll either connect with her or they won't. And that's what we do with clientele. We grow people that are like-minded to us. And so she talks about, I'm passionate and newly qualified hairstylist with a great love of precision cutting, and I love curls. And she also talks about, I'm committed to providing clients with a personalized experience, ensuring that they leave feeling confident and satisfied. You know, all the words that she chose, everything she said was about how she does. She really does a great consultation, and I felt it really showed her off well. So when somebody came to search, they knew she was new, but they also knew what she loved and the passion that came through. And of course, her Instagram, as you can see on their profiles, they've got a link that takes them straight to their own personal Instagram. And of course, that reflects who she was, what she loves. She's all about the curls. She's all about the blonde. She's all about beautiful hair. So her Instagram attracts the kind of clientele that she's trying to grow. And then our other lady was Grace. And I'm Grace. I'm newly qualified. I'm dedicated to deliver an exceptional experience from consultation to finish. Curly hair, I'm the one for you. My goal is to exceed your expectations. They did some really powerful statements on their bios. And so doing those sort of powerful statements really meant that they committed to their job agreement. It really meant that they were committed to what they were going to deliver every time somebody came through that door. And again, here is her Instagram, and it shows the kind of customers that she wants and the kind of clientele that she's growing. So, building a busy column after completing your apprenticeship or after any time, any new stylist. So, moving from trainee to from a trainee and support person to having your own column is actually quite hard, and most of us probably don't remember that. But one minute you're a support person with somebody standing next to you, and the next minute you're there out on your own. And it can be really quite tough. So we like to make that experience really good. So we think about their confidence first. So our objective is to build that confidence, so that we build them to working commercially. So it's not one minute you're an apprentice, the next minute you're a commercial stylist. And because we were going to be flooding them with customers, it was like, how do we do that without them being overwhelmed? So start safe, but you do need to get busy quick. So practice running a column with friends and family promotions, and that's what we did. We kept it really safe so that their column started with friends and family. They did a few weeks where they almost knew everybody that came in, but just to get that kind of a little bit more, I'm no longer an assistant, I am a stylist, and I'm serious about this. And we did some exclusive offers around people that they knew that just got them used to being on the shop floor. So we did some discounts and promotions, and this is probably one of the only times we ever do discounts. So, you know, thinking about offering a cut and finish at £16 today is absolute madness, but it wasn't about the money. And this is the only time we ever do a discount. And it's about building new customers. So it's really important that you understand your objective of why you're doing it. So when we discount, what we know is we may or may not attract clients that would pay our full price in the first place. And so that expectation of retaining somebody that might choose to pay £16 for a haircut, these guys are going to be £60 very quickly. In fact, they're almost there now. So from going from £16 to £60, you know, how does that work? Well, actually, what we're doing is these sort of clients, we're trying to just build their confidence. So it's the what's in it for me. It's why are we doing it? So we're actually not worried. Obviously, we are worried if the customer comes back. We want them to, but that's not our focus at this stage. Our objective is to practice and grow confidence. That's what our objective is. Now, the client may not come back at full price, but they might be really impressed. And it might be that we're just not in their budget, but they might be really impressed. And it might be that they then say, oh my God, I went to Creations. I saw Grace. She was fantastic. I'm not sure I'd go there and pay 55, £60, but it was wonderful. Do you love my hair? Do you think it's great? And of course, the person they're talking to might be the person that's in your market. So you never know where those conversations can go. The next thing we did was use our database, use what we've already got. For clients that have been in the past and had promotions, so if we've perhaps had some people that have used our standby service or have been in under offers that we did when our previous a year ago when our new graduates came on the shop floor. So look at through our database, through Selling IQ, look at who is that discount type client and could we bring them back in. And then we have what we call our VIP blow dry club, and this is marketed at our graduate stylists. So we have customers that come in 2-3 times a week for finishes, hair ups, different styles. They're regular customers, but that promotion is only with our graduate stylists. So all of a sudden, the next stylists have moved up. So they looked after all our VIP clients and all our regular blow dry club clients. So they already had a small clientele ready for them. We did a bring your friend. That worked really well. We had quite a lot of mothers and daughters. So one came in and the other one came free. It's effectively like a half price cut. And that was really great. And we did some really nice Prosecco and just made a lovely event to come with your mother, your daughter, your friend, and just experience being in the salon. After that, we started to run some colour packages. And the first package included everything, so that there was no stress on the stylist. The price included toners, treatments, there was no extra. So they're just about building confidence of running a column from one customer to another. But we like to have no pressure on them when they first start. So there's no client in between. So there's no one during that processing time. It's just, again, about building clients. So we normally give people an hour and a half in their first 3 months for a cut and finish. Then we take it down to an hour and 15 minutes. And then to get them commercially ready, we bring it down to 45 minutes. When they first start, no customers in between with colours, and then we build that up. The second package we offered might not perhaps include treatments and toners, so that they can start to learn to add these services on. Also, what they have to learn is they need to learn to say no. So if a stylist isn't prepared, a customer isn't prepared to pay the price for what's needed, we need them to learn to be able to go, no, that's not right. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. So building great consultations with them. So first package included everything, so they don't have to worry too much. Second package helps to grow their confidence a bit more. It had less involved in it. And learning to understand that price structure of the building blocks of what you need to do. You'll all charge differently. You may include it in your packages anyway. So, but however your business works commercially, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to take them from a non-commercial stage up to a commercial stage. Okay, and this was a deal we did, which was great success, and it was a contra deal with our local radio. We approached them and said, "How could you help us? We've got these 2 new stylists. We'd like to do a program with you. What could you do to help us?" It was really great. And the contra deal is when parties decide to barter or exchange goods without any cash. So basically, we gave them haircuts, they gave us airtime, and so there was no money exchanged. So that worked really, really well. And how did it work? Okay, so V2 added vouchers onto their shop. They've got a shop, and it was a cut and finish with Grace and Lucy, usually £50, now £25. So you can see we did this a little bit later. We'd promoted them by then to 45 to 50. So we're on that next stage of growing their clientele. And so V2 sold the voucher, and V2 got the money for the voucher. There was no money exchanged. V2 handled all the money. They had the money, and they swapped that for the airtime. And we saved the airtime for after the promotion, so we could push Grace and Lucy after they'd got through. They're no longer taking offers to grow their clients. So it's basically free hairdressing for us. But of course, what you need to do is make sure we train the team to really understand the objectives and the why behind it, because that's what's really important for any promotion, any discount that you're doing. It's never ongoing. Okay, so it's for a specific reason. I never like to have anything. It's only when we're trying to grow someone from nothing to something. So never ever ongoing. It must have a purpose and a plan. So you need to know why you're doing it, what you're doing it, and what sort of clients, and why you're bringing in a discounted client. So from the stylist perspective, they need to understand the future value. So they need to understand that that client might not come back to you, but their friends and their family might. You are being talked about, you're getting content, you're creating a busyness, you're creating an environment to grow. And that's what's really important here. All clients are treated as a full full price, getting the full experience. So every single client, it doesn't matter whether they come from a V2 radio, they've come from a free package, they come from a package, they come from a half price, or they've just started now to just grow that clientele through word of mouth. We know that word of mouth is absolutely the best way to do the customers. So the more customers they were looking after, the more they started to get phone calls from people that weren't to do with any of these promotions. So of course they didn't necessarily know when they had a new client coming in whether they were for a promotion or not. So the really important point here is that what they were doing was a full experience. They didn't have a vision of discount. They have a vision of this person is going to talk about me when they leave. And that was the reason they were doing the customer. So they had to truly understand that why. And what's in it for me? What am I going to gain from it? What you're going to gain from it is you're going to get a full clientele much, much quicker and then go through the ranks. Then once you start to get busier, we then look at the future plan for each stylist. So objectives, that's what's key. At this stage, it's not about the money. We know if somebody's charging 45, 50 or even £55 for a cut and finish, they're unlikely to be earning good money. So at this stage, it wasn't about the money, and that's the key objective. It's about delivering a high quality of standard to get your name out there. It's all about the client experience. It's all about giving them, absolutely blowing them away, making them feel amazing. It's about the consultation to explore the challenges and create longevity. It's about gaining experience, figuring out what works and what doesn't. So in our training groups, what works and what doesn't. And that's where we get brilliant feedback so that we know when we're mentoring, when we're working once a week together, we can look at what areas of training they might still need. All about the future recommendations. That's what it comes down to. Client growth, and then we start to look at retention after that. Because we see every single new client as a gift. The competition out there is really tough. So if we're going to be given a gift of a new client, what can we do to really care about them? And we do what we call a new client pack, and we give them a complimentary shampoo and finish. It has to be used within 2 weeks, and it's again building that experience with somebody and getting somebody to come back. We do a trial size shampoo and conditioner. We make sure they've got a business card with the stylist's name, and we've got a little pack of sweeties that they get, and of course a recommend a friend voucher. So how the new complimentary shampoo and finish works is the stylist says, the first time I've done your hair today, I'd love to see that you're getting on with it all right at home, so I'd love to do a blow dry for you. Could be for a special occasion, has to be within 2 weeks, but I'd like to check that everything's good and everything's working for you. It builds relationships and loyalty. It gets the client back more likely to rebook for the next appointment. So then you've got them back 2 weeks later, so you can look at maybe booking them in 6 or 8 weeks after that. Increases retail because you've talked about the retail last time, and because you've made your notes, you've used exactly the same products again, and so they see that continuity. And of course, it's different to what our competitors do. So it's looking at what can we be doing that's perhaps different to our competitors. And stylists need to know, again, the why they're doing it. Why am I giving something away for free, which we don't really advertise? But it's not about the free. It's not about that. It's about that relationship and that longevity with the customer. So your stylists really need to understand what's in it for me. Why do I need to do it? We make it easy. So on the business cards, there's a scan so they can leave them a review. And then there's areas that they can start to follow them on Instagram. So we want to make it really easy. We don't want to push and be pushy, but we just want to make it easy so somebody can very quickly do a review, very quickly join their Instagram. Recommend a friend still today, whether you use a recommend a friend scheme, or whether you don't, so whether you reward financially or don't reward financially, we still know that recommend a friend is just word of mouth. And so the more customers you do, the better you do it, the more word will get out. We know community works, so we get involved with all our local communities. So if anyone's running a charity event, we rock up, we do hair, we go to wedding venues with all our florists. So if they're looking for somebody, these are the guys, those people that are growing their columns, that's who would go there and spend time with them. Chichester Pride, we had hair going on, and we have wellbeing events. So these are the stylists that would be there talking about what they do and looking at every opportunity to grow. anything they can do, any networking they can be at, it's that opportunity to grow. Because it's all about what you do today is what your appointment book's going to look like in 8 weeks' time or 10 weeks' time. That's how it works. It's building the relationships for the future. We invest time in that client at that 45 minutes or that hour that we have with them, or maybe 4 or 5 hours if it's a color change. But that moment we have with them is precious, and it makes that decision of whether they're going to come back to you or not. So what we do to keep the motivation going is we make sure that at this stage, one appointment space every week is spent. If we've got more than one person doing it, we do it together, because it's really helpful if you've got more than one person growing, because they banter off each other and grow together. But one appointment space every single week. What's working well? What's your successes? What didn't work? What hasn't? What failed? What can we improve? What can we change? What coaching might they need? And then that accountability, and back to that job agreement, and it's back about creating habits. And that's what we're trying to do, is small changes can make really big results. So it's what can we do all the time to improve. And of course, don't forget that it's about that celebration. We need to make sure we're celebrating. And then after 3 months, we can start looking at that retention. We can start looking at who came back, who didn't come back. And of course, we have to accept that some of those customers came on price, and so they might not come back. But once we start to measure retention, and that helps us then promote somebody through. And if we have found that there's a problem with retention, we can perhaps contact the customers to understand why they chose not to come back. And are you on track? Are you where you need to be? When we look at that financial track, are you where you need to be at the 12 weeks, the 24 weeks, the 36 weeks, or have you got stuck? And if you've got stuck, why, and what can we do to change, to look at making that different? We use financial trackers so that they know where they are. So after the first 3 months, we don't focus on the money to start with, but then we start to focus on financially where they are, what clients they're doing, what they're doing. So we track with them, we talk with them every week and look where they are financially. We set good financial goals. So there's a minimum, what do they need to do? And that's just about what we call commission pivot point. Let's get them to their minimum target, or where they are, why they're growing. Then they need a motivational goal. What are they trying to get to next? And if you just straight away go, I need you to take £1,500, it's too much. So look at that. Where am I getting? And that's the goalpost that you keep moving and you keep stretching people. So that's that kind of the target or the promotional criteria. And then, of course, there's always that aspirational goal. What is it they want to focus on next? And what's that maximum they can get to? And so that kind of comes a bit later, but we always need to know that they've got those minimum and those motivational goals. Because what we know, people don't leave our businesses. They move for an aspirational opportunity. They believe that something is better somewhere else. But that opportunity, of course, might be with us. So if we keep regular one-to-ones, regularly talking to our teams, they're less likely to go and look for that opportunity somewhere else. So 6 steps to growth, and it's a strategy, it's a plan, it's put together as a strategy. So it's got the steps. We talk through it with the stylist together. So the first we talked about today was agreement. I know we've done this at 100 miles an hour, but the first we talked about was agreement. So make sure everybody's very clear about what they want. Clear definition of what your minimum performance standards is. What do you expect out of a consultation, out of a before visit, out of their journey, and what do you expect your stylist to do when your customers have left? So really clear objectives of that. Financial goals, KPIs, set those targets, but make sure there's accountability to it with regular one-to-ones. Look at their skill growth and that continual learning. So it's just constantly, we've got one thing that we're working towards, just one thing. Small changes, big difference. Make sure you've got a marketing plan, and if it's something that you need some help with, speak to the guys at Salon IQ. I'm sure they'll be very happy to help with marketing. They have some brilliant, they do this stuff all the time. They're brilliant at it. And of course, our job as a manager, as an owner, our job is inspiration. I don't believe you can motivate anybody, to be honest, but I think that we have to be that inspiration. We have to be that leader. We have to be the person that puts that strategy together so that somebody's got this opportunity. And when we put this strategy together, it was easy. It was involved. They were involved in it, and we did it together. And I think that's what's really, really important. And so that's our 6 steps. And I'm going to go to Em in a minute with any questions, but just what we've got coming up soon if you're interested in anything else. In fact, at 11 o'clock today, we've got a recruitment and retention course, the same 1 hour bite size, similar to what we've done today. So if you haven't got those people yet that you're starting to grow, perhaps hang out with us at 11 o'clock. We've also got Supercharge Your Socials on the 21st of July. I did this course myself last month up in Manchester. It's brilliant. Even if you think you're good at socials, it's moving so quickly. So to keep up, this is just brilliant, fast paced all day. It's a 1-day course. We've got a marketing course on the 15th of September, which is in Portsmouth. So if anyone wants to look at marketing and how they can grow their business or individuals, it'll be focusing on all of that. And then in September, we've got our Dynamic Stylist course. This has been our most successful course this year. This is working with stylists and getting them responsible for their targets. It's a 1-day course on the 29th of September, but it has a follow-up of bite sizes, very much more interactive than this. And there's one on the 27th of October, 1st of December, and then 5th of January. So we know when we work with stylists, we run a course for them. They go away and might not do some of the stuff. So we have a WhatsApp group, and then we do 3 months later, we keep doing the follow-up for 3 months. It's been so successful. So if anyone's looking for stylists that you want to grow or looking to put a program through like this, it's been a brilliant course, best one we've done this year. On our internet, there's a calendar of everything that we do. So you want to know more, or if you want to just understand who we are, King Connect, what we do as a club, we're a business club, just contact Emma and she will organise a discovery call with you. Just half an hour. We just talk about your business, talk about what we do, and see if there's anything we can help you. We'd love to hear from you if you're interested. And that's our email address, and that's Em's mobile number. And if not, just get in contact with someone like you. They'll be very happy to put you in the direction of being with us. So, whoosh. There we go. That was a 45-minute fast speed of how to grow a stylist.
Carolyn, you amaze me every time with the amount of information you pack into such a short space. I've got a whole page of notes here already, from defining your job roles, building a column after your apprenticeship, telling your story about what you do at Creations. It's amazing to hear. Doing your team bios, limiting discounts and promotions. We very much do that as well. It's important to do them, but you don't need to do discounts and promotions to get that traffic coming through. What you do today gives the results of tomorrow. Retention focus. I could go on and on and on. It's been fantastic, Carolyn. Thank you so, so much.
I know it's fast and furious, but
it's brilliant.
It's recorded so that they can go back and anything.
Yes.
Please, did you have any questions come through? Anything?
No, not at all.
No, great. So, but just contact us if you've got any questions, you want any help with anything, please just pick up the phone and be in contact. Thank you so much for having me, Salon IQ. I really appreciate it. And
thank you. As you know, anyone that joins slightly later, please don't panic. It has been recorded. We will send it out to you either this afternoon or first thing tomorrow. If you haven't received it, reach out to myself, Carolyn, Em or Cara, and we will send you over a copy. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Speak soon. Bye-bye.